I'd like to welcome everyone to the conversation where we talk about everything Cowboys. My favorite team, your favorite team, America's team. Here with your host, Coach Mark.
Cowboy Nation, how are you doing tonight? We're gonna do a little recording today, man. We're not live, but this video is gonna come out because I wanted to sit down and have a good conversation with you, and I wanted to release this video. Didn't want to be on top of a lot of my other content creators because I know they're gonna be out live at this particular time. So I wanted to go ahead and do a video, and I'll probably release it later on tonight. But we're going to talk about game two. We're going to say let's talk about game two. We got, and as you know, my show is Coach Mark Real Talk, and we're going to talk about some real things about this football team. As you know, the game two with the Giants was not one of our best performances. Across the board, we had some hiccups for our first game out at home. Was a tough game. The Giants did more to lose the game than we did to win the game. And I don't want our team to fall into that type of category that I see the Giants in. And that category is, I always say, losing teams find ways to lose games, and winning teams find ways to win games. And I know some of you are gonna say, "Well, Coach, we found a way to win," but we was almost trying to find a way to lose a game to a team that's not that I think we're better than. But I think some of the problem is that we think we're better. There's a difference between thinking you're better and knowing you're better, and then really being better. You don't want a team to think that they're better. You don't want a team to think they know that they're better. You want a team that said, there's no doubt about it, we're better. But you have to earn the right to be that way. And right now, we hadn't earned the right because we are what our record says is we are a non-playoff team from last year that is a 1-1 team this year. That's who we are. Now, we could talk about that we are going to make the playoffs and we're going to win 10 games and what we're going to do in the playoffs, and we get this guy who's going to put us over the hump, and we get that guy who's going to put us over the hump. We can talk about that as fans, but that's not a realistic point of view either, because we are what our past record said was coming into this year, and what we are the first two games. Do I believe that we could be better than a mediocre non-playoff team? Yes. Do I have to believe that we got the potential to be a very, very good football team? Yes. But turning potential into real life success, if we're gonna find out that y'all will find out in life, it's one of the hardest things to do, because potentially all of us have the capabilities to be great. but who's going to get the right breaks and put in the right work and find their niche to be great and work as hard. That's what separates everybody. And what separates football teams in the NFL is not about talent, because that's a very minute, very small difference between the most talented team and the least talented team. It's about who has the mindset that they're going to outwork and be humble enough, but cocky enough, confident enough, and have that mixture to dominate on most occasions and have the right to find a way to win games. So there's some things that we're going to look at in this video that we're going to talk about again. Like I always say, we're always going to go back. We're going to talk about the same battles, the same things that we put out there that was culture built, because none of it changes. I know sometimes that we get along in the season, we start to look at other things and start moving away from the center of what we originally talked about. But as I say in real talk, you can go back and watch my videos when I talk about culture build, about battles, about certain things. It's all building upon something. And this team is doing that. You don't start building building a house and you start doing the building on 4 or 5 different sections at one time. You don't start putting the roof on a house before you build a foundation. You just don't start painting before you build a house. Everything has to be built in a manner, and they're built on each other. And that's just how the football team has to be built. That's how, when I said it, I had said that I didn't care about if we started the season 3-2. Because I said the NFL don't start to the last 12 games of the season. But it's a way that we had to start in 3-2. There had to be some cultural winning seeds of doing things the right way for us to be a winning team. And I'm kind of questioning, am I seeing some of those cultural winning ways? Because as I've always said, to build a habit, it takes about 4 to 5 weeks. To kick a habit, it takes about 4 to 5 weeks, if you can do it. But in a football team, in your first 4 to 5 games, if you build bad habits, they may last the whole season. They may kind of go away here and there, but they will show back up in they will show back up in stressful situations. And what is stressful situations? When you play the Kansas Cities, the Philadelphias, the Chargers, the Denver Broncos. Yeah, those are going to be tough football games. And when you play those games, if you got bad habits, it can look really bad. So we got to start, and this coaching staff has to really grind on this team starting now. I said this at the end of the live stream, and I meant this. And I heard our coach say that, we glad we won, but we did some real crazy shit out there. I like he said that, but this team needs a toughness now and not claps and pats on the back. Not even the guys that played good needs pats on the back. See, we got as fans. You say fans don't. I know some people look at it and say fans um, don't make a difference. I think sometimes we get into this thing about getting rid of players, and I think sometimes we get on coaches, but we don't get on players and say, "Hey, you got to play better." See, there's a difference when we talk about saying, "Oh man, let's go get another guy." Well, that's not just as easy as you say it. But why don't we get onto the phrase of saying, "Hey man, you got to play better," instead of this cancel culture, where the cancel culture says, if you don't play well, if you miss a block or something go wrong, oh, we just gonna get rid of you. Get another person in. Then we find ourselves jumping around. Next thing we'll say, get another guy. Then next thing we'll be saying, we got to go get out and get a guy. And that's not just as easy as you think it is. I hear the run about we need to get a running back. I understand that. And I'm with that. I think a difference maker be, but we're focused on Jonathan Taylor and all these top running backs from these other, because like we gonna go there and teams are gonna help the Cowboys and give them a top running back. What we think giving them two first round picks or a first, a second, and what name for a guy maybe like Jonathan Taylor might be, yes, he might be running good now, but he got a lot of tread on his tires. You think that that's smart? I don't think the Cowboys are going to do that. And if you go out there with the eagerness, they're going to kill you with the deal. We don't understand what people say. Well, we don't care about later on. Let's go. Bad deals can get you in trouble as well. But I understand what you're talking about with the running back. But unless somebody said that the guy's out there on the free market, and there has been major reports that a guy is on the market, why are we even hasten ourselves to say, hey, y'all can do anything to get this person? This is where I'm not saying this to jump on nobody, but this is the arrogance that the organization has given our fans. That our fans has a arrogance to think just because we them boys, we can go get whatever we want. Only thing Jerry got to do is make a phone call. And the other NFL teams are going to be open to give the Cowboys whatever they need to win. Come on, man. Any trade with the Cowboys, unless we've got the best player in the trade, they're going to try to knock us across the head. Now, yeah, we probably knock Green Bay across the head, but this is Michael Parker we're trading. But if we want... us talking to teams is not like any other team talking to teams. No. The Cowboys talking to other teams is not like other teams talking to teams. They're going to treat us with a different mentality. It's almost like, and I hate to say it in this analogy, but it is an analogy. When in my church, I do all the finances in my church. But when we get vendors to try to work for us, you think vendors give churches a discount? No, because they think church got money, so they like, hey man, no. We're gonna charge them church rates, which is probably more than we'll charge the common guy to come paint the side of a building. Because we think that they got it. So that's how people gonna treat us. So it's not as easy for us to go out and say, oh, we can go get a guy, unless that guy's out there and the team is now maybe after 4 or 5 weeks when teams say they're selling people off, but still the price might be still high. Now, am I saying that we got to work with what we got? No, I'm not saying that. We can't, but let's not push ideas for guys like B. John Robinson and Jonathan Taylor. Like, these teams are in a playoff run. They can't just be giving people up right now. We act like they don't care about the playoffs. It's all about us. First 2 weeks of the season, they're not trading. And any rumor you heard is just a crazy rumor. So why are we beating ourselves up talking about certain like that? I understand we want them back, but just think about going out here and getting and say, hey, well, it's possible. It could happen. Well, again, the likelihood of it happening at this particular time when these teams are winning games, then all of a sudden they're gonna give us a player because of a draft pick, and they giving a player that's great with them, and their record just as good as ours or better. Come on, man. Now maybe the Jets with Breece Hall, but then the Cowboys got to think about that. Breece Hall is in his last year of his contract. You're going to give up a first-round pick or a big-time draft pick to a guy that's in his last year of his contract? And what if he does well? You're not going to pay him that much money. If you lose him, you lose it. Come on, man. I understand we got this mentality. We going for it now. But you still got to be smart. But we're going to talk about some things that, and I'm not saying nothing about it. I'm not saying we shouldn't. I know I was harsh on the safeties, and I have talked about safeties early on in the week. And now we're seeing some film that's coming out, and I looked at some stuff too. That okay, yes, we might have been coverage in the number 27 that we gave a lot of claim to, as on the live screen we were talking about how he was doing so well. But 27 was a young guy, and he may have not done as well. But regardless of what coverage he's in, see, my critique of the safeties did not come because of blown coverages. My critique came before the game even started on September the 12th, and I'm going to show you on Twitter when I stated that about our safeties. Because as I always say in my shows, Coach Marv does not get reactionary about one game and say, okay, well, this game we gotta toss them off the boat. I'm talking about continuous play from these safeties for the last 2 or 3 years that I don't consider that they're making enough plays in a position that we need a playmaker. And I'm questioning 2 other things. I'm questioning, one, they don't have enough speed at safety. We could watch film on that all day. People could do this and that, but you do not see guys on our roof that are flyers. And with them not having the speed, they're not going to make the plays that to be a significant playmaker. They're not going to be able to be 15 yards off the ball and run and get up there and be able to stuff a running back at 5 yards or come up and make a big hit. They're not going to be able to get when a cornerback make a mistake. They're not going to be able to cover up that mistake like sometimes safeties do. They're not going to be able to cover ground like we need a quality safety to do. If they get a misstep and they guess wrong, they're not going to be able to recover. Donovan Wilson and Malik Cook are slow. And we could watch film and say that wasn't the right coverage, they weren't in the wrong coverage, this and that. But that is for real. And they don't make enough plays for me I need a playmaker to say. And I said that when I said we need to start looking at safety, because this is the key to making our back end better and our front end better. Because people devalue safety, but on a great defense, give me some playmaking safeties, we'll see this level of this defense go up high. Playmaking leaders. Now, I said, one of them I said that they don't make enough plays. The second thing I said is, no doubt that they're slow. Not enough speed at all. It's 4 things. The third thing is, I don't see leadership ability back there in the back end. I'm hearing the same confusion that we've been saying a couple years ago. I know we got a new defense, but we got 2 guys that have been playing together. And a third guy that's been playing together, 3 years? It's not rocket science to how to learn new coverages, and it's not rocket science for those 2 to be able to know each other so well that they can read each other's mind. Now, we can watch film and say, yeah, well, the coach, they wasn't right. But this is what I'm saying is the problem I got with them. I don't see leadership. Remember I said that that's part of the culture? Coaching and leadership. When I got 2 veteran safeties, they should be the ones in that with the secondary coach and have everything so locked down because they're veterans that they can lead the back end regardless of what new piece we put out there. But I don't see that. That's concerning. And the 4th part is part of your culture. Safeties lead the physicality of your secondary. Let me say that again. Safeties lead the physicality of your secondary. And they're not physical. Well, Donald Wilson used to be physical before his body started breaking down, but now he got smaller. He's a smaller safety at once in that. Trying to be physical at a smaller safety, that don't usually work out well. And he's not that hitter no more. Not that short tackler. And Malik Hooker has never been physical. And I keep saying on the live stream, and we may watch film, and nobody's talking about Malik Hooker. And I'm not trying to belittle a player of that nature. When I tell you to tell me what that I'm saying is not true. Malik Hooker is slow. And he's already slow. And then when he has leg injuries, like he had a hamstring problem, he's always having something wrong with his legs. We had a hamstring problem going into this week. He looked even slower. You don't see Malik Hooker coming up and making quality physical tackles. And with him being slow, you're not going to see him recover sideline to sideline, make up for mistakes by people, making plays. Am I lying? And then when I see confusion in the backfield and they talk about coverages, who do I blame? The most veteran guy and the guy that's supposed to be the leader of the secondary that's standing on the roof directing everybody. So if you tell me they was in coverage, But what plays are they making? Safety is supposed to be erasers. They can't erase all the mistakes of a corner or a slot corner, but they can erase some. But our slot corners and corners are at a point of this. When you got slow safeties, if you make a mistake, it's done. So my thing about safeties on September 12th came from that point of view. I need playmaker safeties. And I keep saying, if you're playing safety, and I've said this before, when you have an offense attacking your secondary, they want to make guys do what they're uncomfortable with doing. Then you have a scout report, and your scout report tells you if a guy's uncomfortable bailing, if a guy looks like he's uncomfortable playing the underneath coverage, if a guy looks like he's uncomfortable running and he can get stacked on, if a guy is uncomfortable of staying on top of a receiver, if a guy, when he covering the guy one-on-one at the top of the route, he lose contact. If a guy is not fast enough, all those things tell you in scout reports. One of the things you know as a coach is that most times that the physical component of the secondary is their safeties. Because most times they are safeties because of two reasons. Two reasons. One, they were not a good cover enough to be corners. And they may not be as fast, but some of these safeties are blazing fast. But first, they're not could cover enough to be the corners. And what we know about corners is they're good enough to cover, but they are not physical enough to be what? Probably safety, taking on blocks up in the line of scrimmage, making physical tackles. They probably could be good tacklers, but they're not those guys that can be in traffic. So the guy will be a safety. I have said again, and I will say it 1,000 times. And anybody want to talk about, yeah, we can talk about it. But if I got two safeties, if they're not being a dominant guy that's being a tone setter physically, and then I can't get them making pass breakups, cleaning up mistakes, ball deflections, all over the field in the secondary, what the hell I got them out there for? And when I made the saying, and I know that people gonna say, well, you killing Donovan Wilson and Malik Hooker. Well, if this competition, we need to have competition. Now, I said this. Do I want to see Bell and Wanye Thomas? I don't know. I don't know if the safeties that I need are in the building. I really don't think they are. Because Bell and Wanye Thomas should not even be, it should be some type of friction if they can't make plays better than, or are they the same as their counterparts? Is Bell fast? I know Wanye Thomas has got speed. But can Wanye Thomas give me the leadership? Again, I'm telling you the stuff that I'm seeing, that I need for my safety. I need leadership back there in that backfield to be the general of that secondary. So when they come off that field, if it's a cover tafu, I'm looking at y'all two first. And we got blown coverages more than one time. What are you doing to lead your secondary? now Wanye might be faster, but every time he gets to rolling, it's an injury. And then I think he celebrated, and I hate to say this, but he's celebrating like, when they were coming off the field, like he's so happy. To me, I'm not trying to cause any rift, but you got to have the competitiveness in you to say, I can go out there and get a job. You've been on Twitter. You talking to people on Twitter. Why you ain't? I don't know if the playmaker safety I got is in there because I think we're looking for a guy just to get by. But I guarantee you, and I said, trust me, this on the post. I'm gonna show you the post. If we get a playmaker safety in this thing, you'll see a great difference in this team. A demanding leader, playmaking safety. That we're going to do the right coverages. Or you got to talk to me. I'm going to erase some of your mistakes. But you're going to not make that same mistake again. I need that in my back end. And I ain't getting that. And I can see that intangible. And I'm going to go over again. They're slow. They don't make enough plays. And being slow is a reason why they ain't making these plays we want. They're not physical. And safety is supposed to be the lead physicality of your secondary. They're not showing good leadership qualities because we get too many missed, blown assignments. So you can show me film to say, hey, this supposed to be this guy's fault. But where is the leadership? Where's the playmaking ability? And when are they erasing some of the mistakes? Now, if someone want to talk to me about that, say, oh, Coach, listen, and I don't know if that guy's in the locker room. We can talk about Bell. We can talk about Wanye. I think all of them are in the same boat. I think all of them in the same boat of average and sometimes playing below average. And that's, at that position, you can't get away with below average or average and consider you talking about being a great defense. I'm just telling you. Because it needs some leadership back there. Because you got a lot of moving parts and different players playing back there. There need to be some guys that reins all that in. And they got to make plays. You can't do nothing about the speed. They slow. They ain't gonna get no faster. And not to be having no speed is gonna hurt them from making plays. I'm just letting you know. Unless they got some of the greatest instincts in the world, and I don't see that. You back off the roof playing cover two. People say, well, you playing cover two, you can't stop the run. Hell, you say. You diagnose it, you see it, you go. Play side safety is coming your way. Play side safety is coming now to be support. Backside safety is rotating over. He's the guy that's probably going to catch the if it's a breakthrough. But there ain't no standing back there when the ball gets tackled, you still 15 yards off the ball. So that's my little scenario about the safety. I had to, because I know some people putting up films about, well, coach, that wasn't them on this guy. Again, they're not making plays. They're slow. Film can look at that. You can look at film and tell they're slow. And then when you're slow and then you slow reacting, that makes it worse. Then you take Malik Hooker, got a leg injury. So I had to say that. I had to touch on that point. The other thing is bad habits is the Giants gave us the game. And remember, I always talk about our keys. And let me share the screen with you. And let's talk about the battles first. Let's talk about these battles first. And I talked about the battles, man. And I talked about these battles in every game. If you want to, it's 4 battles we must win to win games. And yes, we won this game against the Giants, where in the first game, we lost the turnover battle by 1 turnover, and we lost by 4 points. We lost the explosive play battle in the game 1. And that's 2 games in a row we lost explosive play battle. The first game we lost explosive plays because they got a long pass, but we left a lot of explosive plays on the board because we dropped balls. We could have won it, but we lost explosive play battle. Not by much, but we did. And then we lost the penalty. Well, we in the last 2 games, we don't win the penalty battle. Eagles got a whole lot of penalties, and we don't even want to talk about how many penalties the Giants had. I think they had 16, 17 penalties for almost 200 yards worth of penalties. So we won the playoff. We won the penalty battle on the last 2 games. And then the F and the physical battle. I think the F and the physical battle for both games was about even. In the Philadelphia game and the Giants game, I think it was about even because both teams were really going at it. But the turnover battle, we were losing the turnover battle in the Giants until the last interception that Russell Wilson threw that brought the turnover battle back even. This is how important the turnover battle is with our football team. There's a stat out there saying 55-6 in the last 10 years when we +1 or more in turnover battle. So again, we brought it even. We won the game. We lost the turnover battle against Philly. We lost the game. But number 2, explosive plays. Let me tell you something, people. This has been an Achilles heel for our defense and our offense for the last 3 to 4 years. One, with our offense, we don't create enough explosive plays. Now, we did this game. We had the run for 30 yards by the running back. I think we had a couple of long passes, but not what I call touchdown pass, no 50-yard touchdown pass, not no passes that was an explosive play and end up with a touchdown, which we call a double whammy. No. I call that a TNT explosive, when it's an explosive play and end up in a touchdown. We had one, but the Giants, oh man. If you take away explosive plays from the Giants, we win this game going away. But also, if you take away the penalties that the Giants gave us, they win this game going away if they keep explosive plays. This is how important these battles are. You can look at a football game and just look at these battles And if you judge this battle right here, and you look at the end result of these 4 battles, you're probably going to come up with the winner 85-90% of the time. There may be something, but it's gonna balance out. You may lose a turnover battle, but you won an explosive plays battle. They cover it up, or you won an explosive play battle, but the penalties you gave up killed you. Or you didn't win the effort battle. But all the explosive plays that they got, the penalties that the Giants got, neglected most of those explosive plays. Because they could have got more scores if they didn't penalize themselves so much. They had the ball the first quarter, 9, almost 10 minutes of the first quarter. But for 5 or 6 minutes, they was going in the same spot. They only moved 20 yards. That was for 6 minutes because they'll get 7 yards. Then they'll get a penalty for 10. Then they will get 12 yards. And then they'll get another penalty. Then they'll get the same back number of plays back again with another play. Then they'll get a penalty. Then they'll get the same yards back. They were going back and forth in the same spot. They were getting good plays, then penalties. Then they get good plays and penalties. That's when you show penalties. It kills you and it keeps you, make you work harder. Then they start getting explosive plays. These battles are very important. But we got to be able to control the explosive plays. Now, let me explain to you about the explosive plays. And I'm going to give you the example of what I was talking about with them in explosive plays. Let me explain to you about explosive plays. Matt Eberflus says that he wants to run a defense. Well, everybody's saying, I ain't never heard Matt Eberflus say this, but people describe his defense, which I don't think, they describe his defense as being and don't break. Because they try to put his defense back to what Marinelli was. He may have some qualities back there, but I think he run his own thing. But let me explain to you about being and don't break. If you got a bend and don't break defense, explosive plays kills that. If you give up explosive plays, forget about the bend and don't break. In a bend and don't break defense, the first thing you have to stop is all explosive plays. If you do that, that defense works. Because you make people methodically try to get down the field. But if you give it up 25 yards, 30 yards, 50 yard touchdowns, that ain't going to work. So he put himself in a defenses in cover 4, cover 2. He may be putting his safeties back on the hash because he's trying to make sure that you don't get big plays. And we still giving up big plays. That's concerning. It's concerning when I'm guarding against big plays and I'm still giving them up. It's concerning when I go into my locker room and I preach the philosophy that we can't give up big plays and we doing it. Because see, that's a core philosophy of ours. That's a core value. And when you start compromising the core values of what you're trying to do in life and anything, if your core value is that you're going to do things on a quality, on a certain time level. If your core value is, let's say, going to work, your core value of what you feel is important to you is you always going to be 10 minutes on time, 10 minutes early, because that's what you feel. That's just your DNA about being early to be on time. And then you find yourself, your ride or something, or you find yourself getting to work 10 minutes late every day. If your core value is messed up, the rest of your values are going to fall to pieces. You got to have some foundation. And the foundation of this defense is not give up big plays. Now, if you're going to put your safeties on the roof and you're going to play cover 2, and you're going to play a shell type defense, and you give up big plays, what the hell? That's not being a don't break. That has no core value to it. And from a coach perspective, if you can't, if I got a core value say we're not going to do this is not going to happen to us, and we allow that to happen to, listen, man, you think that I was fooled, then I'm going to be crazy. And yes, there have to be some changes with some guys out there. Because that goes back to what I was saying. When you try to culture, when you're trying to change a culture, you're going to find out it's going to be some players that you might count on that's not going to fit. And you're going to find out there's some players that you didn't think you were going to count on that's going to fit. And you may have to fit some younger players in there that knows what you want, and they may not do nothing else, but they're going to do the core. Because explosive plays got to stop. And I'm going to tell you why it got to stop. Let me share this screen. This is even more damning when I talk about God almighty. I thought the thing was up. Y'all hang in there with me. Y'all hang in there with me. Y'all hang in there with me. I don't know what I'm doing now. God almighty. Uh-oh. Okay. Hold on with me. Hold on with me. Let's see what we got now. All right. I'm finna get to my okay. I hope y'all can see this. And I'm recording. I hope the recording coming out all right. But this is what I said. I posted this, man. In the 40-37 overtime loss to the Dallas Cowboys yesterday, Russell Wilson completed 7 passes for 20 yards or more. Remember I said 20 yards or more is explosive plays. 7 in one game. Totaling for 264 yards on 7 plays. He only threw for 450. Over half of the plays with 7 passes was over half his plays. For 3 touchdowns, 21 points. And they had one run for 24 yards that set up the game time, the game go ahead, one of the go ahead touchdowns in the fourth quarter. That's 8 plays that probably all of them come up with scores. 8 plays for over 20 yards. Some of these are 50, 35, 43-yard touchdown passes. You can't, as I said, no defense can handle big plays. So we talking about he got a being a don't break. That's not a core value of being a don't break. That's something for me to go in the meeting room and tear up the projector, the film, when they tear the whole thing up. Because as a defensive coordinator, there's some core values that I have on my defense that we are not going to give up. And I may give up 1 or 2 big plays because stuff happens. But 7, 8, that's a direct indictment on your leadership on the field. And I ain't heard none of the interviews, nobody talked about it yet. But we got to stop giving up big plays. Somebody get upset about when I said about the safeties. I want to show you, I talked about the safeties. Listen here, man. On the 12th of September, which is 2 days before the game, I posted this on because I've been looking at safeties for a while. I said, Cowboy Nation, it's time to take it to look at our safety play. I tell you, it's the last key piece to a great defense. It would have stopped some of these, even these cornerback mistakes. Some of this would have been stopped with great safety play, speed at safety, some leadership back there, a playmaker. I said, remember I said this now for a while. I ain't just been talking about this for a while. I talked about getting Jalen Ramsey here because I knew personally, found out somebody told me that he wanted to play safety. And I knew if we made the trade, now we want to talk about trades, I was standing on top of the roof with that back in the day. Because I knew he was going to come here and you would have put him at safety. One, he was going to be able to direct corners because he played it at a high level. 2, he is a playmaker. And he's going to make plays. And he's going to have quarterbacks scared to throw on his side because they feel that he's running free. He's going to make a play. 3, he was a hitter. But nobody listened to me. We were so gun-ho about getting a damn receiver. That's why I wanted Jalen Ramsey. I tried to make the case for it. Because I knew that's going to take us over the top. If he comes in the board, he's going to make whoever the other safety is play better. He'll bring a Wanye Thomas along. Because I want Wanye because Wanye got some speed. He will bring them along. But not these slow guys. They're not hitters. They're not doing no leadership because we got missed coverages. And they're not making no plays. So you can tell me about coverage you watch film. Does the film say that they got speed? Does the film say that we having some issues in lining up and how we guarding things? This has been years. We keep going through the same. We line up wrong. That these guys have been back there long enough, regardless of who they playing for, to get that right. Are they making plays or the ball just coming to them and they standing there? And I don't know if it's in the building. But those are the two things that I told you about these big 8 plays, big plays. So if you got a bend and don't break defense, guess what? That ain't no good with big plays. Bend and don't break don't work with big plays. Because one thing about being a don't break, it may give us some time of possession. Then you give us some time of possession on drives that don't work, and then they come and get short drives because they get big plays. You're giving up points. They're holding the ball. You're killing the continuity of complementary football. So yes, Matt Eagle-Flus, I'm talking to you here. If that's your core value, you got certain core values. Somebody say, "Hey, we're going to tackle." I heard you say it about the defense, about the cornerbacks. You say they must tackle. Okay, I feel that's a core value of yours. Your linebackers must do certain things. Oh, that's a core value of yours. There's a core value to your defense. I don't care what defense you run. Every defense got core values that says, this is what we do not do. This is our DNA. Now, we may have to do some other things, but we're going to do this. Big plays cannot be a core value. You talking about being a break, don't break. And that's where you got to go off on. I can't have missed coverages. I can't have us giving up 40, 50-yard passes down the field. I can't have running backs running for 40, 50 yards. And for me, that's a bad sign for the future, man. Because when you start breaking your core values early on, then now I don't think you got an identity. And I know it's this game too, but you got to get that straight. And the only way you get that straight is sometimes you got to sit some people ass down. And I don't sit down number 27 because this guy just got here in a couple weeks ago, and he's coming in and trying to do a role as a slot corner because he's talented. And if he had a problem with coverage or was in the wrong spot, Malik Hooker got doggone Jonathan Wilson is the fault. And Dono is the captain of the team. Now, you can tell me about coverages all you want, but tell me I'm lying on those things. Slow. They ain't making enough plays. The leadership quality is not there, and they're not physical. Now, you tell me what your film studies say and all what you want to say, but tell me those 4 things. And I'm talking about both of them. These battles, man, another issue that I saw that really, we talk about the run game. And Boss Cowboy and Lou. And I said this earlier. Again, Jonathan Taylor, I wouldn't go out there, but there are some other running backs, and I'm with them 100% about if we get a quality, another running back that is a game-changing runner, a guy that knows that's going to skip that hole and got the eyes and the vision that's going to get that extra 2 yards, going to find that thing that's going to get us not just that 5 yards, going to turn 5 into 8 and turn 8 into 15 and 15 into 30, 40. Not just because he's fast, but it's that type of runner. I'm with them with that. Because one, I think our offensive line is going to get cleaner. Now, we're going to get hurt because BB's not there. But this is when Tyler Smith and the young Tyler Booker have to step up. Got to grow up fast, Tyler Booker. And I know we're putting a lot of pressure on because we got some younger guys like Guyton in his first year. Tyler Booker. This thing, and let me get on this part. I watched the film. This thing on Terrence Steele is really just irking me. Here it is again, this draft bias. We got people out there want to be so right about Terrence Steele. Yes, he missed some blocks. What tackle don't? We act like we want him to be 110%. But there's very few and far between the mistakes he made. We don't talk about the dominating blocks he made. In the run game, nothing wrong. Some of the stuff we can probably see why it went wrong in the passing game. And yes, he got beat. We talking about some great pass rushers. You don't think those pass rushers are going to win sometime? Come on, people. We just looking for controversy. Is this offensive line going to get better? Yes. There's a couple of things, and I had a show about offensive line, and let me go back to what I talked about. It was three. I called it the 3 C's. Go back in my playlist and see. You will see what I have. The 3 C's into a great offensive line. And those 3 C's were continuity. Now, the continuity is going to be kind of broken a little bit because we got Hoffman now because BB is not going to be there. And I wanted them to get some games in together. But, it's just how it is. And so continuity now, they got to, but it still got 4 guys. Get that continuity together. It's going to take reps and reps and reps. And with the continuity comes the next thing that I talked about when I said the 3 C's in a great offensive line. Once you get the continuity, then you get confidence. When this offensive line starts to get the continuity and they get the confidence that they know that they can get it done, that's 100% of the battle. Because physically, I think we got all the criteria. Being maulers, being strong enough, we got all that. It's about the mental continuity rhythm together. And with that continuity and rhythm, you're going to demand that your tight ends get in that same rhythm and continuity as the linemen, because that's the demand of the leadership part. So when you go in your film rooms and your tight ends or your fullbacks miss their damn block and it stops a play where y'all have done your job, it's your job, offensive lineman, to say, hey, man, 40, fullback, Ferguson, 87, 86, 89. Make y'all damn blocks. Continuity, confidence. 3 C's in great offensive line. Continuity and confidence. And after they have the continuity and confidence, I had this whole show about this. And then, once they get that, they got control, baby. They're going to control the football game and the tempo. You get this a great offensive line that got talent, which we got the talent. You give them continuity, then they build confidence, then they're going to control the line of scrimmage. And when they control the line of scrimmage, now Dak feels that he can do any damn thing. Your team feels like they can do anything offensively. But I'm having a problem with our offense. Some people point out saying, well, yes, we don't have that Bell House running back that I think that can wiggle and get there. And I'm not saying Williams hadn't been playing well. And I'm not saying Blue. I think Blue would be a great home run hitter. I think we just need a little bit more than Williams and Miles Sanders. Even though Williams is having some numbers, but I always tell people there's context behind numbers. But I think Williams is getting better. But if we can upgrade that, that's fine. Let's do that. But I know I'm not going to mortgage the future to upgrade for that now. I'm not giving no first round draft pick for no guy that we ain't signed on the last year of the contract. No. That's like, if the Jets say you got to give us a first round and they know they're not going to sign the guy, and they like, yeah, we can get a first round draft pick for the guy. No, man. Come on, man. But yes. Now some people talk about our run game is not our run attempts is not, and Dak threw the ball a lot. But again, I say, hey man, you have to look at the context. And I see in the Twitter post that there are certain things, and let me see if I can see that Twitter post. Let me see if I can share that screen again. And let's go back to my I'm gonna see if I can go to that Twitter post that I made. It's a reply that I made. And it was applied to Stargaze. And Stargaze, if you I'm gonna try to tag you on this when I post this video into Twitter. I'm gonna tag you, and I hope you listen to the part that I'm getting to this part, so we can talk about what Stargaze said. She was with Jay Tuck. Jay Tuck was great person, man. Jay Tuck is one of the goats here, man. But he was concerned about 38 passes against Philadelphia and 52 times against New York, and 38 passes don't look like we was too balanced. Look like we were throwing the ball too much. And Star was like, we was running the ball until Miles fumbled the ball. And yes, we were running the ball. We had a good mixture of run. I would like to see a little bit more run, but I think we'll get a little bit more run if we get control of the football game. And I'm going to go and that's going to be the last part when I go about our keys of victory, because I'm going to point out how those keys of victory is important to us in winning games. But I said in there, and I said, okay, I understand what they were talking about. And I understand what Star was saying. Well, hey, yeah, we see like we was running the ball with, but he was doing good, right? She said she was telling about how Williams, Devontae Williams was doing good, right? Ground and air. But you think, at least 40 times, passing. But she was, saying she didn't think it was that bad. And I had to come in, and I came in and say, listen. When you look at pass attempts, when you look at a team that's passing, and they got a lot of pass attempts, you have to look at the context. Now, I don't like when as a game is close and you throwing the ball 150 times and the game is a low scoring, a close game. I don't understand that, because now if you got possession and control the game and you keep a little bit more time in the clock, you oppress the other team even more because the game is close. I don't understand that, but in this case, when you look at the passing attempts, you have to look at the game and the floor of the game. Things like the 2-minute drill. If you get the ball before the half or at the end of the half, you're going to be at a 2-minute drill. That might go, you might be a good 2-minute drill. It might be 8, 9, 10 plays, but they all are passes. So that's going to screw the thing. That's going to screw the passing attempts, move them up. And then it says being behind late in the game. Yes, we was behind late in this game. And in the Philadelphia game, we were trying to catch up in the last two or three drives. So you're going to look like we got a lot of passing attempts. I think about the game. Think about this. I remember the game that we played that Dak had one of his all-time great games, and that was a New England game a couple years ago, and he threw the ball 46 times in that game, maybe over close to 50 times for a massive amount of yards. But what we was lost in that we ran the ball 30 some attempts. Most of his passes came in the fourth quarter when we were trying to catch up, and overtime when we were trying to win. So we had a long drive. We talking about maybe 13, 14 attempts came in that time, where it made it boost up the passing stats. So those things count. I said when you being behind late in the games and the time of possession. And let me explain what I mean by time of possession. In the New York game, they had the ball for 9 minutes of the first quarter. And this is a rule that you go check it, go look wherever you want to look, how you want to look. If you control the time of possession, you almost kill the other team running attempts. That's why I always say, if you're the first team to establish a run and you're the team to run the ball the best in the game, the other team is not going to run the ball good. How many games you have seen with very rarely, I ain't saying all the time, but very rarely, you'll see two teams that got a running back for 120, 130 some yards on both teams? Not really. One team, whoever establishes a run, it takes away the run, because when you got the time possession and you're controlling the ball, it automatically makes the other team feel like they're pressed. And they lose a little bit of their patience. And with the Giants having the ball for so long, we got the ball, they got 3 points. We came out, did it, but they got another long drive. When they had the ball for so long in the first half, we felt that we were pressed because everything was pushed up because we knew we were going to get less possessions. So that counts in sometimes your passing attempts going up. And we be honest with it, I said also, in the second half, late drives in OT, and then late drives in the second half and overtime, that pushed the pass attempts up. Also, we didn't control the tempo of the football game. When you don't control time of possession, and the last two games, I don't think we controlled the tempo. There was times that we controlled the tempo, but most of the times we allowed the other team to control the tempo. Once we get an identity and we start playing our type of football, these are the things that I'm worried about, people. I haven't seen us control the tempo. I'm not caring about the score. The score it'll work out itself. You ever heard, if you do the little things, surrender the outcome, fall in love with the process, make sure your process is good, the outcome most times will come out where you want it. But these first two games, I'm seeing other teams control the tempo. And we got to get in control of the tempo. And then another thing, I say with the New York big plays, it puts us in rush mode. Because when they're giving up 40, 50-yard touchdowns in the second half, now we're behind, now we're feeling pressed. Now we're in the rush mode. All those things work. So that's why I said, we can see numbers. PFF has some good numbers. I don't really like it, but one thing about their numbers, they do not use context in their number. So context is so important when we're looking at flat numbers. Don't get caught up in the numbers, and if you don't watch, say, okay, let me watch the flow. Let me try to figure out what was going on to make this. Or is it was just self-made, or certain things, factors that make this? Because you start looking at flat numbers, you can be way off in about why things happen. like I said, man, this real talk, Coach Marv, we're gonna talk about some things. We're gonna talk about the things that they talk about behind the door that they don't tell you, because coaches, I guarantee you, coaches look at numbers, but they look at context of the numbers. And we might not be a little bit unbalanced. We might say we want to run the ball a little bit more. And Shotty might be saying, man, we should have ran the ball a little bit, but we didn't. We felt like we was pressed. And the defense coordinator needs to stand up and say, hey, Coach, I'm sorry. That was my fault. Because if I wouldn't allow big plays and we could have got them off the field, you could have stayed to your game plan a little bit better. It's complimentary football, people. I done been in meeting rooms where when the head coach, and I've had to say that, what we call the overall general meeting, where we just get our feelings about the game and certain things that we didn't do, that we came in the game that we wanted to do with our game plan, when we didn't go and stay to our core values. And we all talk about it, special teams as well. Our special teams were poor, other than the kicker, kicking 60-yard field. We look at that and say, oh, well, no, Coach. Well, the kicker made the 60-yard field, special teams good. No, it wasn't. At the beginning of the game, we give a long return. Again, Giants get penalties. If they don't get penalties, they got every return, they get big turns. Too much yards given up on returns. Too many penalties on our returns. Poor performance on the special teams. See, all people don't look at those things. I'm looking at those things because they're building. That's what I'm talking about. We're building bad habits in little things. I don't care. Listen, man, if we got a better process, I know we're going to get better because we're a talented football team. I know it'll come together. But if we're doing these type of these mental errors and it's being glassed over, and they'll take away from the productivity of our game plan. Look at the Giants game. Their disciplined, undisciplined play took a chance where they had a chance to upset a team they ain't beaten in a long time and got the big plays that they needed to beat the team, but the undisciplined play took all their win out the sails. I don't want to be that team when we play Green Bay, Chicago, Kansas City, Denver, the Chargers, Philadelphia again, Washington, Detroit. We have to tighten up on these little things. And all this stuff we talk about, yeah, go get something or whatever, yeah, that's true. But let's start getting on our players to play better and not play dumb as hell. Because a special team penalty, that's dumb football. And that's not core value. Being in the NFL and blowing coverages time after again, that's not NFL quality football. That's high school league. One more thing to share with y'all. When we always talk about the keys to battle to win, the keys to winning. We talked about the battles, and we always talk about these keys to win. And let's go through these keys to win. Again, these are our keys to winning. Time of possession, we lost that. These are offensive keys to winning. We were efficient with our offense. We scored some points. I think our offense was efficient. We made some plays. I'm kind of concerned about our passing game because, and I'm going to say this about our passing game, and I'm going to make a video. I'm going to come back with a video probably later on this week because it's the concern I have with the passing game, and nobody's pointing this out, and I'm going to see if I can get some of my content creators who are good at putting films. See, I can watch film, but I don't know how to cut and splice and put that stuff on here. But I'm concerned about our passing game not going down the damn field. Because what's happening is When we go down the field, we're getting productive passes. But when we're throwing down low, teams are not respecting us. When I'm watching a game when we're trying to come down in the last 2 minutes, and I'm watching, and I said this in the live stream, when we're throwing short passes and they're all hanging over on top of our short passing game when we're going down the 2-minute drill, that means they're not respecting that we're going to go down the field and they're jumping routes. That you got to get a little Russell Wilson in you. Now, I ain't scared to get on Dak either. You got to get a little Russell Wilson in you. And let that fly. And let your receivers go make plays. And we got to clean it up. I'm still seeing receivers miss blocks that could be key blocks to getting our running backs out the way, out the hole. Now, see, we don't have that type. Now, that's the thing with Boston. A lot of them are talking about. If we had that type of guy that was almost, if you get a clean-up block, you get to the line of scrimmage, he going to take it the distance. That's the type of guy to be on that in that locker room saying, hey, man, you got to make that block, Pickens. Because you make it, I'm gone. That's what we need. Time possession, we didn't do it. Commitment to the running game, yes, we were. I think, but we could be a little bit more. Dak running the ball 2 or 3 attempts. See what happens? 2 or 3 times, Dak ran the ball and got first downs. And especially at the end of the game, that was a crucial play. I want to see Dak do that more. That's a big play. That's just as big as a pass play for Dak. Penalties, no pre-snap penalties. We did very good in the penalty game again for 2 years. And we might have got a little bit more discipline in that, but then we disciplined this in a lot of different areas. The deep pass attempts, not enough for me. That should be 6 or 7 in it. If you throw the ball 52 times, I should have at least 10 of those down the field. Using our running backs in the pass game, and I got Deuce, but we did do that well. I think Williams had some catches. I want to see us use them even more. But it did work, and it did get us yards and a first down. Yes, let's keep using these running backs in the passing game. Let that be your short game, but let's get the ball down the field. Ferguson had a good game getting down the field, too. We need to keep doing that. Physical in all areas. We were better. Tight ends are being very physical. They got a little lackluster. When I see them film, sometimes they don't get off the ball on time, especially when we go double tights, when they go on the both sides of the ball. I'm seeing them coming off the ball late, and that's getting them stood up in the hole. They got to work on getting set and getting off the ball with the lineman. That half of hesitation is when you're not big and you don't get off it on the right time and you trying to block a stronger guy, that don't work. Control the tempo of the game. No. We control parts. I want to see where we impose our tempo, where it seems like the other team is trying to play at our pace. And you will see it, people. You will feel it as fans. But Philly had us, we started out the game thinking we had our tempo, but they took the tempo, and really on in the first quarter, they started taking the tempo of the game. We got it back a little bit in the second half, but the Giants game, I never felt that we had the tempo. All right, and going on into the defense, let me see if I can get this to roll down. Okay. Hopefully y'all seeing this, man. Hope this is coming out on this recording. I don't know. It might be a big waste of time. I hope it is coming out. Okay, tackling. I like our tackling. Still not physical. Don't have that snap, that pop, that guy. I have not heard nobody say the Cowboys in a commentator. I've seen other games where they're even the Houston Texas game and the Tampa Bay game. They were talking about how the defense was flying around the ball, flying all over the field. I don't see us doing that. I watched a team that's flying around the ball, and y'all may not like it, was Green Bay. they were intense. They were flying. Not just Michael Parsons, not because but they was intense flying. That's a team that knows where they're going, know what it is. They know the defense. They know what their core values are, and they're doing it, and now they're playing fast. That's how I want to see us start playing. Reduce big plays. You might want to even have that on the screen. Listen, I said to 2 or less. We gave up 8, 9. And most of them are not paying attention to details. Not lining up right. Not knowing what type of patterns they're running. Not playing with the details that you need to be with the detail oriented just so you can stop those. Feeling lackluster. Not knowing, not having the leadership. And some physical things, being slow. But not being mentally right and ready. Not your mind now, not your mind, your work, your mind not on your work. Contain the run game in the past with the pass rush. I think we did a much better job with that. We just ain't get to the quarterback. I think again that Matt Eberflus is going to have to, even though we got some guys that going, but again, I would say this: rushing 5 will always make this defensive line always play one-on-one. Then you won't get no help. Then that way, I think we're going to get some wins there. I think, again, teams all over this league is manufacturing pressure. But if you're going to manufacture pressure, you have to trust your safeties that they're going to have people in the right damn spots, and they're going to have that leadership on that field tight. Again, I say it again. Go back to the beginning of the show. That's why I say safeties are so important. And I think we can manufacture pressure because I think we got linebackers that can come. But, again, we got to be tighter on the back end, and we got to be a specialized unit back there. No confusion. Whoever's the leaders back there got to tighten their ass up. Or they got to sit their ass down, or I'll give me a guy that's young and I can teach him how to be a leader. And I'll deal with his mistakes. Turnovers, we got that one turnover to bring the turnover battle back to 0. That turnover turned out to be what the win. Now, let me tell you why I tell you teams to do stuff to lose. The Giants got a turnover in the first and the second half, and instead of kicking a damn field goal, they go for it 4-2. And some of y'all be saying, "Oh, that's good. Right? They playing aggressive." No, that was a dumbass move. You get a turnover, get the points. It's early in the second half. You're not going to win the football game if you get 7 points there. But those 3 points, if you got them, might have been the game-winning 3 points you need to win the game. But like I said, teams, they find a way to lose. Control first down. I think we did a good job. The Giants didn't really try to threaten us with the run. But we controlled the run with that. And then we didn't control the tempo because if we controlled the different tempo, we would have made the Giants play a little bit faster, but they played fast. But they got hot when Russell said, "Hey, man, y'all not going to guard the deep pass. Y'all not going to make plays on the football, so I'm going to keep on throwing it." So, as you see, we didn't do the keys that we need to do to win the game. We didn't win all the battles. We won the penalty battle, but we lost the explosive play battle so bad. And we did some of these things to give, but this is why it was a struggle. And the Giants had to do things to give it to us. Against a better team, against teams going forward, this one right here will get you blowed out. Where we did on these key battles, this will get you blowed out. So we got to tighten up, and it's got to be the leadership quality to tighten up. I talked about safety. I talked about quarterback. I talked about we need to push the ball down the field. It's a lot of things that I unpack here. But the reason why I unpack these things is because I'm finna close out here. But the reason why I unpack these things is because I'm concerned that some of these things could start to be what we call habits. Some of these habits are habits that we're still trying to break from last year or the previous year. And they don't be broken soon. They don't be broken so easy because I'm seeing confusion in the secondary. All that because this is the job of trying to build a new culture. This is why Shotty say I'm trying to get them to practice better. I'm trying to get them to have consistency. But now we're in the season. And as I start to see this in games, Shotty, I'm talking to you now. You got to be more of a SOB. They know you care about them. They know you okay with them. They know you will celebrate with them. They know you a good guy. But now you got to turn to an asshole. And sometimes you may have to sit your best friend down to get that point across. Matt Eagleflus. I know you love Malik Hooker. I know that Donovan Wilson is a captain. But some other guys can be captain. But you got to get some people attention. Because if you don't get their attention now, you're going to build bad habits and you're going to break the confidence of your team. And Sean, you can't give a damn what the public say. But sometimes talking about breaking cultural habits don't always work. Sometimes you got to be an asshole. So I hope y'all look at this video and y'all look at everything that's in this video, man, and all the talking points in this video. I hope it comes out right, man. I'm gonna post this. I know Boss Cowboy and some of the other guys, they on live now. I'm gonna tune in with them. I'm gonna jump off here and then tune in to them, and I'm gonna post this video later on tonight, or it may come out in the next couple of hours, and I'm gonna post this video for y'all to see and to experience. But like I said, man, let's move on to Chicago. The next talk that I'll be talking about what our keys to Chicago is and what we need to do with Chicago. I thank y'all so much for y'all things. If you like, comment, and subscribe. My Cash App is right down here in the lower half. Please, people. Coach Marv is trying to get to go to the Green Bay game in Dallas, and we're gonna do some content there. Please, cash out Coach Marv a couple of dollars so he can get a beer or two, and really the first time in Dallas. And if you're learning from this great content, man, please support the channel. But like, comment, subscribe, and sharing is it. But if you want to send something, please cash app that $ PBS 222 and leave a message when it says for. Leave a message and say, hey man, Coach, you're doing a great job. Coach, talk about so and so. Even leaving a comment and say, hey, I'm commenting and say, hey, this is what we were supporting the channel. I just need those watch hours so we can get the monetization. Then we start going live and we can start putting some other things out there. But thank y'all so much for being with me and supporting me. Until next time, Cowboy Nation, Cowboy players, Cowboy coaches, get your mind on your work. Peace.